Howdy, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Reseller Niche Podcast. How's it going over there, Russ?
It's going fine and dandy, Mo. How are you out in California?
I'm good, dealing with some allergies, but I'm doing well. So let's get right into it. We have a very special guest today, Yong from Merch Minds. It's going to educate us on everything merch, POD, and typography related today, and reselling too. We can get into all of that. So how are you doing, Yong?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little frog in my throat, but I'm good.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. These allergies are nuts.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know how other people are dealing with it, but the chubbier I get, the worse this gets too. So that doesn't help.
If that was the case, then I would have the worst allergies of ever. But mine is, I advise hot sauce for you guys. Hot sauce, hot peppers. Oh yeah. Keep a lot of hot sauce. That helps you out.
If I have too much hot sauce, then I have other issues. I don't want to go into those.
Not in the afternoon, Mo. It's too early.
Too early. All right, too early for that. People are still eating lunch. So, Yong,
what's up, man?
How is it going?
I'm doing good. And so Russ, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
I said Russ, man.
Oh, I need to cut in there and take credit for everything.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
Doing awesome, Yong. It's fine. It's great to finally meet you and sit down and just be able to chat with you for one. I've watched a lot of your stuff, and
thank you, sir.
For a couple of years now, you've given me a lot of knowledge.
Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. Thank you so much.
But it's all true words.
Now, for the two people out there that don't know who you are, Yong, can you give us a little background, and then we'll dive in there deeper a bit after.
Yeah. So for those of you guys that don't know, I think like most of us, I started my hustling career, I should say, on eBay. Been on eBay since '98. Still do eBay, but on a very small level. And then from eBay got into FBA, and then from FBA I'm now doing merch. But there's a lot of misconception in the community saying, "Oh, Yong, quit reselling." That's not the case, Mo. You and I talk about this all the time.
That's true.
I just put reselling in the back burner because I'm really trying to scale my merch account right now. And for those of you guys that don't know, Mo is local, so we get together every now and then.
It gets crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. That is absolutely true. Yong's one of the first people I actually ever went to a garage sale with. Seriously, I never went to a garage. I always thought I was one of those kind of closed-minded people, like, oh no, he's gonna take everything away from me. I gotta hide everything. Stupidest thing you could ever think. So no, that was serious. It's the first time I went to a garage sale with someone that was another reseller.
Garage sales are fun.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So how, I know that people know about Merch Minds, the podcast. I need to mention that.
Thank you.
Do with Glenn and Hustler Hacks.
Mm-hmm.
But give us a little backstory of how you got into the whole kind of graphic arts design. What's your background with that? Because I know you have a big one.
Yeah, I graduated from San Jose State.
Great school.
Because that's where you went.
That's right.
Where you went. And but I've been I've been doing design. Like I've always been a very artistic person. Like when I was younger, I would always draw and doodle on paper and whatnot. And then what year was that? In '89, I was introduced to graphic design by my high school instructor, and graphic design was completely different back then, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I was introduced to it, but I never really had like the foundation as far as going to school and whatnot, because right after high school, all I did was just continue to work. But I've always had the passion for design, and I always did design. Again, I just never had the foundation. And then few years after high school, I decided to go back to college. Went back to college, got my degree. It took me freaking forever to go through college, man, because I was one of those guys that was working a full-time job and just I would take like one class every semester. It took me freaking decades.
Hey, you did it though. You did it. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
You did it, and then how much debt did you have after your college?
I didn't have too much debt. Not too much. I had my day job pay for most of it.
Nice.
I had to come out of pocket a little.
A little. I'm in Savannah, and there's a college, Savannah College of Art and Design.
I think I heard of it. Yeah.
Right, and they can come out with $500,000 in debt.
Oh gosh, it's crazy, isn't it?
So don't ever bust paying your own way through college.
No.
Yeah, no. So, but yeah, no. It took forever, and but I got like you guys said, I got it done, and got into merch. I'm very passionate about merch, and trying to make that money on merch, man.
Nice. So yes,
and Yong, for those out there listening, the 4 people that we have listening, and
no,
all across the world and stuff, explain merch. Just do a quick, this is what merch is.
Yeah, so Amazon, a couple of years ago, they came out with the print-on-demand program. Basically, what that means is, as a content creator, I will upload my design onto their platform, and then whenever a customer sees my design on their shirt, they will print that shirt, they will ship that shirt, and they'll take care of all the customer service. And I just collect with, just a small royalty based of that. So I just upload my design, and they do all the grunt work.
Right. Nice.
Which is a lot of work. So
Which is a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
They've kind of, with that type of idea, I mean, you used to do and go and, if you needed shirts for an event, you went to a local printer. You're going to order in 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. Now you can get them in matter of days. And it's kind of these local printer guys. I mean, it is kind of a local business, and I'm all about those. But it's
and if you guys never seen like the silk screening techniques, which is like the old school technique.
Yeah, the old school, right?
Go on YouTube and check it out. It's wild. Cool. Yeah. And because what Amazon's doing now, and they make it look really easy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Side note: I remember my wife when she's in between jobs. This is probably 8, 10, 12 years ago. She bought an old school. Back then it was new, like a printing machine. The thing is like 100 pounds. I mean, solid. I don't know, iron or whatever the hell it is. And then she had to buy all the T-shirts, the little plastic things that you put on top of it. I don't think she used it once. I mean,
by the colors, the ink,
the transfers. I think that's what they call them.
Okay.
Transfers.
Yeah. So I have that in our garage. It's like the biggest paperweight ever.
Oh man, that's wild. That's wild. But no, it's technologies have it's made it a lot easier. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it opened up, like yourself, to open a print shop or to open a T-shirt shop at that time, or go into the T-shirt business was a huge outlay.
Oh yeah, I mean you have to drop some serious money to do something like that, and but not just that. I mean, it's just again, I mean it's just the manpower itself. I mean, again, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, just like I said, maybe after the show, just go on YouTube and just look up silk screening. It was a tedious process, man. You get to squeegee and you gotta put in the colors, and it's just it was a nightmare.
Yeah. Did you ever try doing that yourself, or?
Yeah. We had to do that back in the days, right?
Oh, wow.
That was part of the curriculum.
That was the only game in town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember we go to a store called Shirtique that was in the mall. If you ever wanted to get a customized T-shirt, this is probably 1992 or something like that, and I'm sure that's what they were doing in the back of the store with their silk screening, whatever.
But then Cafe Press has been around for a while, but for some reason they never took off. They never got really popular. I heard
this from your from Merch Minds, from your show, about could you elaborate on how expensive those machines are that Amazon uses?
Oh gosh, I mean, I don't know for to be exact, but I'm hearing they're worth a good $500,000.
I mean, I think that's your answer right there. I mean, that's like a store by itself right there, just one of those machines. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Okay, okay. So, what I want to do is touch on because I know you're an expert not only with merch but
An
in the
expert.
history of
I wouldn't say so.
design and stuff like that. But we wanted to touch on typography and what that is, and I really don't know what that is at all.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could just kind of elaborate a little bit on the term, and then we can go from there.
Typography, I guess the original definition really is it was the placing of the letters in the old school machines, but really these days it's really because no one use the old letterpress anymore.
Yeah.
These days it's really about just the study of fonts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I gotcha. And I mean, in terms of merch, because I've done a little bit of merch, as you know, but not that much. But I mean, these days with people, and they kind of go in there and they'll do a lot of basic designs. You'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Does it come to a point where people, because I know fonts are owned by people. I mean, how does that work? Can you explain that a little bit? Because it gets a little bit confusing for me because people think, oh, a design is copyrighted or a slogan is copyrighted. But how does that work with fonts?
Yeah. So fonts. At some point, someone created the font that we use, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was free or not, right? Like when we buy a new computer, chances are we have fonts already installed, right? Those fonts they didn't just appear, right? Someone created those fonts, right? So so some fonts are free, some fonts are you have to pay for them. So someone, like I said, someone created those fonts, okay? And it's really, at the end of the day, I mean, we can always play dumb and say, oh, I didn't know. But at the end of the day, if you're going to use fonts for commercial purposes, you should always pay for their fonts, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just, especially in the merch community, I'm just sick and tired of people always saying, oh, someone stole my design. Oh, I have a copycat, right? Well,
Yeah.
when you steal fonts, you're also stealing someone's design, right? Again, those fonts didn't appear. Someone made them. That's why I'm always telling people, pay for your fonts.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And let me ask you one thing though, because whenever you buy a PC or Mac or whatever you use, it does come with, I don't know, 30 fonts or whatever that mean, Roman and all the Helvetica, the basic ones.
Mm-hmm.
Are those, I don't know what the word is, able to be used for everybody or not commercially, just for personal use? Or
so depending on who you ask, you probably get various answers.
Okay.
My opinion, from my understanding, whenever you buy a computer and they come with pre-installed fonts, those are okay to use for commercial purposes.
Okay.
That's my answer. Some people might disagree and argue with me. That's fine.
Gotcha. We're not lawyers. We just play them on YouTube.
That's right. And on Facebook. Yeah.
That's right.
There you go. Okay. And I mean, maybe this is a silly question, but I'm sure when you start off doing merch or any kind of design, you're going to start possibly by using just a basic design. Are there any of these fonts that you currently use, or do you usually go for the non-basic ones? You're not going to use Helvetica, Arial, or whatever.
No, I in fact, Helvetica is one of the more common ones that I'll probably use.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll use them. But you have to understand. I mean, what I tell people is every font has their own personality, right?
Gotcha.
So depending on what your message is, you have to choose the right font so you can and to convey in your message. For instance, like if and this is always a tough part, right? Trying to talk about design verbally, right?
Yeah.
I mean, design is such a visual topic, but like I would never, for instance, if I was to make a shirt that says the word love, right? Would I use like one of those college varsity block letters?
Not unless you have
Probably
love
not,
for your
right?
coach or something.
Right, exactly. So you definitely get my point. I would you probably want to use something like a very nice, elegant script font, right?
Yeah.
That'll go really well with that word, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it's about really just trying to figure out what message you're trying to convey to your audience.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's good.
And then I guess because I didn't really know this was an issue until I started reading a lot of Facebook posts and this and that. So if I was to grab something, are there fonts that specific companies actually own and you like, you can't use Nike Just Do It, but does Nike's font for their slogan Just Do It? Is that copyrighted, trademarked, or how does that work? Or is that not a thing?
You mean the slogan itself?
I mean, like the font that they use. Like, there's certain like.
No, you
Yeah,
can definitely use the font. You just can't use their slogan, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Um,
'Cause I was just wondering.
oh gosh, I want to remember what that font is. I have it on the tip of my tongue. I want to say it's Futura. It's something like that, basically.
Yeah,
But
because
yeah,
you got like Coca-Cola font, Ford font, those things that are
yeah.
specifically, and when you see
Is-
that
I
design,
was just
that's
looking at this right
Coca-Cola.
here.
Yeah.
I'll show you the reason what the question came to mind. So I was looking at this right here, and I don't know if you can see that. You see how it says Lakers and that's pretty standard. They always use that kind of font.
Mhm.
Would that be something that they can come to you afterwards and say, "Hey, you can't
Well,
use that. That's
so
ours."
you have to understand that some businesses, companies, like for instance the Lakers, they might have their own specific font that's licensed to them, right?
Okay.
For instance, Stanford, where I work at, right? Their logo is a very unique font. It's not even a font, really. Now I think about it, it's just a logo, but they own the rights. Like no one else can use it, right?
Yeah.
So typically in those cases, you probably can't even find it on the market, and if you can, it's just someone who probably made a bootleg version of it.
Gotcha.
Or
Gotcha. And then
do they do things to Young, like take that font that you were talking about? Because sometimes like in patents and things like that, if you change one thing, then they say, oh, well, it's not that same thing because the squirrelies up here instead of down there. You see that kind of going on too,
Yeah,
where it's a,
my 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 uh my advice for something like that is even if just because you change one thing, right, and the rest of the font looks the same, doesn't mean now you can get away with using that font. I would just say just use your common sense, right? If you have any guilt about using something,
don't.
chances are just don't
don't
even
use
use
it.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? You guys want the truth though?
Yes.
Nine times out of 10, 99% of the time, even if you do use a bootleg font, right? Even if you just download some premium font for free, 9 times out of 10, the font police are not going to come knocking on your door, right? What I tell people is this: look, it's just about being ethical, right? It's about being honest. Again, a lot of people freak out about people stealing their own designs. Well, I'm like, well, look, whenever you steal fonts, you're also stealing designs. So just pay for it.
That makes
So,
sense.
When you pay for those fonts, are they yours to? I mean, do you have a certain amount of time on those periods? That was me knocking on the. We were. Carol's going and answering the door. So yeah, the dog barked and Carol's going to the door. So it's the font police. Do they? Do you own that font, or can you use that font for a period of time, or is it indefinite?
long as you have the license, you own that font. And sometimes they'll give you multiple licenses, right? Like if you buy a font, they'll say you can load that font up, and on 3 computers, right? So
Yeah.
so I know a lot of people, they use VAs and they have designers. You can buy the font and you can give them one license, right?
Gotcha.
Because some of them comes with multiple licenses.
Gotcha. And then are generally the people that make these like the companies, or like I've heard it's pretty difficult to
It's both.
create a font.
It's difficult, man. One of the things that we had to do during my time at the university was try and create a font, and it was, dude, it wasn't a fun thing. I would never want to do that, man. You have to have a lot of patience and a lot of time.
Yeah, because I remember when I purchased one. I think you posted something like purchase this, and so I purchased one. And then when you click on it and you look at the file, it's broken up into, I don't know what you call it, but there's like 50 of this, and it's like variation after variation after
Oh, yeah.
variation after
Yeah.
variation.
Italics, the bold, the regular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay,
Wow.
okay. So, okay. So what I want to talk about a little bit is, and we'll talk about this in the middle of the show. You put out an ebook,
Mm-hmm.
and I want if you could elaborate a little bit on that, because I know we usually don't talk about stuff that people pay for, but in your case, you are an expert in the sense that this is your livelihood. Plus, you went to school for that. So in this case, I think it's something we can. So if you could elaborate a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, first of all, I wouldn't call myself an expert by any means. I just don't want
Hey, if
that.
you go to school for it, that counts as something.
And you're more, you're on
Well,
the other
yeah.
side of the coast. So yeah.
Yeah, but so I wrote the book, Understanding Typography for Merch by Amazon. And the reason why I wrote that book was because I just got sick and tired of seeing what people were doing on Amazon, right? And in fact, Glenn and I, we would have private conversations about this, and it would just drive me nuts, right? People were just throwing up freaking random fonts in the designs, and it's fine, I guess. But as someone who who has a degree in design, it would just drive me nuts. And then I would see some of these threads and forums, and people would say, "Oh, go here and download this font, and go there and download this font." I'm like, "No, you guys are freaking stealing fonts." So I wrote this book. So basically, what I did was I gathered all my college notes because I still have my college notes, and what I did was I just converted them into a book format and sold it to the public because I felt like this information was needed because nobody was talking about it. Right? Go back a year and a half, 2 years when merch first started. Seriously, right?
That's true.
No one was talking about fonts or typography. Everyone was just saying, "Oh, go here and download this and download that," and I'm just like, "Oh gosh." So it was something that I felt was desperately needed in the community, and I feel like Glenn and I did a reasonable job as far as introducing typography to the community. Um, and overall, the response was really good. I had a few people complain about the book. One person said, "Oh, there wasn't enough writing," but I'm like, how do you fucking teach design when it's like 95% text? It doesn't make sense, right?
I
Come on.
guarantee you they didn't.
That's like me trying to teach cooking without ingredients. Come on.
Yeah.
But no, the response overall has been it's been really good.
Good.
That it makes sense to do something like that because you're right. People create those, and what in the reality, you didn't do it as like, well, I've got this knowledge. From my perspective, you didn't do it as like, look, I got this knowledge. I need to show it. No, it's going to protect me in the long run if I know that I should be buying those fonts instead of stealing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I think. I mean, there's gonna come a day. Maybe it's already come that someone is really gonna get seriously in trouble for something like that. I mean,
and people have, right? People have.
Yeah, I've already heard
a good example was Cher. Like we all know the singer,
Yeah.
superstar Cher. She got sued a couple of years ago because her designer supposedly used a font that was bootleg. Right?
Gotcha.
And she got it. I don't know the outcome of that lawsuit, but she got in trouble for that, right?
Yeah.
So people have gotten in trouble for it.
Yeah, and especially these days with Amazon cracking down on brands and eBay Vero. I mean, there could be it's only going to get worse for something like that. So I mean, are there? I know there's ways to check for like copyrights and like when you're doing merch research, you check for copyrights, you check for the best that you can. Uh-huh. So how can you check for, is this font used? Like if let's just say you find it on a third party site, not the person who created it site. How can you check for, can I use this or not?
That's actually That's actually a great question because sometimes so what Mo is asking is when you find a premium font that normally is normally that you pay for, when you find it on the bootleg website, how do you know whether you should pay for it or not. My thing is this. Okay, ignorance is never an excuse. You should always do research. If you have any questions, if you just take 5 to 10 minutes to figure out who made that font, right? And it's not rocket science. You can find out who made it. If you just take the 5-10, if you have any questions, just take the 5-10 minutes, figure out who made the font, send them an email and said, hey, I found this font that belongs to you on this website. Is this something that I can use commercially? 9 times out of 10, I bet you they'll respond, I didn't even realize my font was on that site. No, you have to pay for that.
Gotcha.
Is there, much like websites, is there behind the font, like that there's a registry of font designers and their designs, or how do you find that information? Yeah.
Normally, so most foundries will have the information of the person of the company that made the font. You can just click on the name, and if that doesn't work, Google, right?
Right, Google the font and then the creator's name. Yeah.
Like I said, if you just invest 5-10 minutes, you can typically find out who created that font.
Gotcha. And all right, this is going to sound like a silly question, and I'm not asking it so I can do this, but is it possible that people, it must be possible that people are lifting fonts off, I don't know, websites, or is there a way to steal a font so that's why they're posted on third-party websites or something like that? Or is it very difficult to take?
No, it's just a file, right? It's just a file. It's just like if I had a bootleg version of Avengers Infinity Wars right now. I can probably put it up on the website right now.
Gotcha.
Right?
The reason I asked is then definitely I've seen a lot of fonts that like
they're everywhere.
What's that TV show? Mr. Robot. I know it's obviously lifted from that because it's a very distinct font. And I saw that on a bunch of different sites. They all can't own that. They all didn't create that. So, okay, that makes sense. But then
again, but you have to ask yourself, just because it's there, can you use it for commercial purposes? Is it available to the public? If not,
gotcha. That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
They may have bought it off the original person, and that original creator still has it out there for sale.
It might be, but I think in this case, I found it on like 5 different sites.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about doing something similar to that.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, man. Back when I was financially unstable, I used to steal fonts. I'm not gonna lie, right?
Oh, here we go.
But hey, you know what? Now these days, I try to be honest and ethical about my practice, because what I put out, like I said, it can come back on me, right? Like I can get in trouble.
Definitely.
I don't want that.
Well, I think Mo hit on that that time's coming.
It's got to be.
Like I said, it can happen. Who knows, right?
Intellectual property type laws and those things. People have been sued over jokes.
Yeah. So I guess it's a good segue into, because merch on Amazon is right now, it's the biggest platform for this, and their way of dealing with things is getting, I don't know if it's getting a little bit better, a little bit worse. So how would you say, because I have my own issues with merch. I think we talked about that on your podcast on Merch Minds, getting shut down for 30 days. But how do you think they're doing right now with dealing with issues like this? Some legitimate, some not, but in general, Amazon.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. If you heard Glenn's account got shut down.
Yeah, I did.
Just like you did, and Glenn swears, and I believe Glenn, right? I believe him. I think he's an honest guy, unless he's lying to me. But Glenn says, he goes, dude, I have no idea why I got suspended. So I don't know how Amazon's dealing with this. Like, what made them suspend Glenn's account? Like obviously, a red flag went up somewhere for his account. But Glenn, Glenn swears by it, man. He goes, I have no idea. He goes, I have faith in my designs. He goes, I don't know why. And I've seen his designs. His designs, they're just random stuff, right? Like the world's greatest father, the world's greatest mother, things like that. Right? He's not doing like Star Wars parody or nothing, right?
And I've seen those. That's the thing that bugs me the most is that there are people doing Star Wars parodies and Disney parodies and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
That's
I see them all the
blatant.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, so who knows what's going on behind closed doors at Amazon?
Yeah, okay.
It makes me wonder. I would love to be a fly in the Amazon merch headquarters,
Bezos' desk.
just to see what's going on, man.
I want to see
What
that.
are
posted
you
on
guys
Bezos'
doing?
desk. Nice. All right, let's turn this up. Let's turn this into a little bit more positive. Merch is one. We always talk about merch, but for anyone that doesn't know, if you could elaborate a little bit on some of the other print-on-demand areas out there, companies, platforms, etc.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of them, right? There's Redbubble. There's what was it, TeePublic, Sunfrog, and the list goes on and on and on, right? I'm no expert by any means, but if there's another platform that I highly recommend people get on other than merch, it's the well, there's two of them. It's the Etsy Printful integration.
Yeah.
And then the Amazon Printful integration. I don't know if you heard about that.
I think I heard you guys talking about it on Merch Minds.
Yeah. So it's basically
explain that one to me.
It's basically yeah. I would love to, Russ. So it's basically having your shirt. So basically, if you don't have a merch account, this is another way to have your shirts on Amazon. Is basically opening up a Seller Central account, like if you have an FBA account, right? And then through that, you're syncing your FBA account with Printful, and you can sync your shirts from Printful onto Amazon. So that's another that's another way of having your shirts on Amazon. And I've been doing that with my other shirts that are more parody and things that aren't allowed on merch.
Gotcha.
Now I'm not doing any anything crazy like like the Black Panther or like the but just things that normally wouldn't be like shirts with curse words or like marijuana shirts, things like that, right?
Gotcha. No Barbie shirts.
No Barbie shirts. That's you, man. That's what you got busted for.
That was, I don't know if anybody knows that, but basically I put Barbie in the title of 2 or 3 shirts, and probably one of the biggest red flags you could possibly give them. So
Barbie.
It was a no-brainer. So, okay. But as far as Printful and Etsy and Amazon, I mean, what should I say? Or should I say Etsy? Do they have similar tracking? I know they don't go after things as much as Amazon does, but do they have a system where they kind of check your shirts as well?
They do. And I'll tell you why. Because I had a shirt that was a parody of the Golden State Warriors, and these guys came back and slapped my hand and said, "No, you cannot post that."
Gotcha.
So I'm not going to say I got busted for it, but I definitely I was warned.
They're watching. Yeah.
They're watching. That's for sure.
Gotcha.
But then again, I see a bunch of shirts on there that was that are 20 times worse than what I did. And I'm like, how are they getting away with it? I don't know.
Was it? I know on parody there are some broad areas that parody allows you to do things, but I think since it was a team, maybe if it would have been a political parody or political satire, they probably couldn't have touched you. But because it was a licensed team, then
that is true. I mean, parody is a whole nother topic. I mean, in a nutshell, and I don't want to get off topic here, I was told by my instructor in college, typically parody is okay, long as you're not trying to fool the customer that you're the actual company.
Gotcha.
Right. So, I mean, I can probably, for instance, to give you guys an example of what I mean, like I can make a shirt using like the Coke logo, right? But not making it seem like that I'm the actual Coca-Cola company.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think one of the greatest parodies that everybody's looking for now is the Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh, those things have been around for years.
Yeah. That's an actual parody product. So. Right.
Oh yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Cabbage Patch Kids, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Man, that's great. And I mean, I don't know if I know we're going back to this direction again, but is the Vero program on eBay, is that kind of tied into, because I know personally they looked at I had some used t-shirts for sale and they looked at the slogans. So is that also something where they look at that kind of trademark copyrights on people's customized t-shirts?
Again, I don't know. I do, like I said, I do know that they are looking because, like I said, they slapped my hand, slapped my wrist on a couple of my designs, but I see a bunch of other ones that are a lot worse than what I'm doing. But at the same time, Printful,
Yeah.
right? Because you're integrating Printful to Etsy, they're also keeping a close eye because I remember one time I deliberately put up a design that I shouldn't have, right? Just to see what would happen.
Yeah.
And Printful said, no, you can't do that.
So they,
They caught it right away.
I just wanted to see what they would do. So basically, it was the Playboy bunny symbol.
Gotcha.
I put it on Printful, and just to see what they would do, and they said, no, you can't do that.
yeah.
So
Yeah, they are watching. I mean, it's to be expected, though. So
yeah,
okay. So
those guys, they don't want to get in trouble, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they don't want to get in trouble.
if you could, I mean, I know you talked about it a little bit already. Explain Printful on its own so people understand kind of who they are.
Yeah, so they're based. I mean, in a nutshell, they're just a drop shipping company, right?
Okay.
But they do apparel, basically, right?
Okay.
So kind of like Amazon merch, I upload my design onto Printful, and then they integrate with Etsy. So Etsy is your storefront. So whenever someone buys my design on an apparel, whether it's a T-shirt, tank top, hoodie, Printful, they're the ones. They're going to fulfill my order. They'll ship it. Then they won't take care of customer service. That's something you have to do. But for the most part, they'll do all the dirty work.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. And then are there other?
And that's print, Print,
Printful.
F-U-L.
Yes.
Printful. F-U. Double L or one L?
One L.
One L.
Okay.
Shows you how much we know here, but okay. Okay. And then Printful's right now they're working with Amazon and they're working with Etsy. Are they working with any other companies also, or?
That is a good question. I don't know. But I do. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Russ.
I was thinking when you said work with Printful and Etsy and stuff. Okay, so when they make an Etsy, when somebody goes to your Etsy account and makes an order,
Yes.
who notifies Printful? You or Etsy?
Etsy does because it's all
Nice.
it's all synced up in the back in the dashboard. In the back.
Nice. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Not like if you
so I
had
don't-
something
I
on
don't-
eBay
I
and
don't do
Amazon,
anything.
you have to have them.
Yeah, I don't do anything. Sometimes there might be glitches, but that's very rare. From what I've seen, it integrates really, really good.
Okay.
What would keep you from posting your design on eBay and then you notifying Printful to print that out?
Technically, you can. I just don't want to do all that work.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? That's just manual work and something I don't want to do right now.
Sure.
Gotcha.
And Mo, you know me, man. I'm trying to freaking balance 20 projects right now. So that's another. That's just one task I don't need.
Right. But it is doable for somebody to
doable,
start out. Yeah. Nice.
Okay. And then I guess, I mean, maybe this sounds funny, but I know there's shirts you said that you don't put on Amazon, but you put on like maybe Printful, Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming you have designs on both Amazon and Etsy that are the same and they just go.
Yeah. So basically, the way I do it right now is my Amazon merch account. These are obviously very thorough, clean shirt. Clean, no curse words. None of that. I'm following orders. But then, whatever I post on my Etsy store, I'm also cross-posting on Amazon through their integration with Printful, and I'm using both my business names on both. So technically, I have two platforms now where people can go and purchase my products.
Nice. And then I guess let's go. This is probably the question everyone asks because I know Amazon has introduced long sleeve shirts. What are the differences in what they offer? Say Etsy or Printful and some of the other companies compared to Amazon from just the basic shirts and the hoodies?
Yeah, so Amazon just only offers 5 products at the moment, right? They got the
Yeah.
standard t-shirts, premium t-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies, and sweatshirts. Printful has a lot of products right now, right? They got tank tops, crop tops, mugs, leggings, baby onesies. Um, I mean, the list goes on, right? So you have more
Nice.
variation, you have more to offer to customers. And you know what? And it's a good platform. It's a good business to be in, going the Printful route too, right? I
Yeah,
know a lot of people making more money with the SC Printful integration than they are with Amazon.
I need to get on this. I mean, I've
Yeah,
dragged my heels for. I heard
dude,
your
dude. In
first
fact, dude,
podcast.
dude. In fact, I have a friend, man. She had her Amazon account suspended. She won't go into details, and I told her, I'm like, why don't you get into the Amazon Printful integration and the SC Printful integration? She goes, oh, I'll think about it. What's there to think about? Just
What's there
do
to,
it.
yeah.
Just do
I
it.
mean, you obviously sound depressed having your account suspended. Just do it.
Yeah.
And it's not good business. If you're doing this full time,
And
Mo
she
and I
was,
talked to,
Russ. And
right,
she was.
you better have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, because eBay can go away in a second. Amazon can go
Oh
away in
yeah,
a
all
second.
those platforms. They're
Yeah.
not ours.
Although, boom, they can kick you out in a second. Typically, they give you due process,
Yeah.
but something can happen to where you're done. And, or, eBay, you may not be able to go out and source. You may break a leg.
Hmm.
Have those other streams of income. Have, as Chris Green says, have multiple rivers.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I told her. I was like, and because like you said, Russ, she was 100% in Amazon merch, and when she got suspended, like I hadn't heard from her in like months, and I finally just sent her an email, and I was like, what's going on? She goes, oh, I got suspended. I'm like, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but there's Amazon. You can still get on Amazon through their integration with Printful, and there's still Etsy. And she goes, oh, okay, I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is a good topic to go on. How difficult, like, if you were to compare doing a merch by, I've done merch on Amazon. I haven't done one on Printful. Any of the integrations. How more difficult is it to do any of those on there?
It's not difficult. If you want to do the Amazon Printful integration, you do have to pay for the Pro account, the
Okay.
Pro Seller account. That's $40 a month.
Yep.
Right.
I personally find the Amazon Printful integration a little glitchy at the moment. Um, there's some issues at times. Um, with the Etsy Printful integration, is free to the point. I mean, you do have to pay 20 cents a listing on Etsy, and then whatever fees after you sell a product. Um, but the integration, everything is all free, right?
Okay.
And then Printful, they just get their share of whatever you pay them for their products, right?
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. And then, if you would, let's just say worst case scenario, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but worst case scenario, let's just say you're not doing merch on Amazon. What would be your number 2 go to?
Etsy Printful, dude. I know a guy right now, dude. He does. I shouldn't really be saying this, but I'm not going to mention his name. But he does like a pop-up flash sale on Etsy once, like 1 week out of the month. That's all he does, just 1 week out of the month, and every week he does that, he clears $6,000
Oh, wow.
on Etsy. I'm like, why don't you freaking do it 4 weeks out of the month? I don't know. He has his own little strategy. Who
He
knows?
has his own.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Question for you, Young. Now, you're creative, and I tell you, creative people just blow my mind because, and I'll show you. And bear with me as I ask this question and do some visuals. I'm as creative as an alligator on roller skates. So this is why we've been talking. That's a bird. See my little cardboard bird there with
Okay.
Oh, I thought he was rolling up something.
So that's as creative as I get. How does somebody like me? I know you guys buy some designs. So somebody like me, it's not creative at all, but I've got my merch account. I've done the Printful to Etsy. How do I go about getting designs that I can make some money on?
Sure. A lot of people hire designers. they outsource VAs / designers. I would say if that's the route you want to go, do some homework and find out and figure out if they're really designers or not, right? I mean, anyone, I swear, ever since this whole merch program came out, everyone and their mom freaking just came out and claimed that they're designers all of a sudden. They came out of the woodworks, right? I mean, people, oh, I'm a designer, hire me, right? It's crazy. So I would say do your research. But there's also a lot of sites, they sell premium vector graphics. Just be careful, and read the license thoroughly, and that you can use it for commercial purposes. But those are good ways. And one thing that I always preach, and for some reason I don't know why people don't do this, but I always say reach out to your local university, right?
Right.
Man, when I was at San Jose State, I used to see flyers on the wall all the time, right? So and so is looking for a junior graphic designer, entry level, $15 an hour.
Yep.
Right. So these kids, man, because what they're trying to make money and build their portfolio at the same time. That's cheap labor.
Right.
I tell people that all the time. No one's done it yet. At least not that I know of.
And I'm in a great city for that. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. And then, because you mentioned that to check, I guess, let's just say you take the step of hiring somebody and you don't know them, or hiring a VA, whatever it is. I guess, what steps would you take in terms of making sure that they're legit? Like, it's a real vector file. Someone like me doesn't even really know what that is, but how would you check and say, you know what? Okay, this guy is legit, and at the same time, he's not like reusing somebody else's stuff.
Right. Just ask very specific questions that's related to design, but not just that. All designers should have a portfolio somewhere.
Okay.
Right.
Pro tip.
Like for instance, I have a portfolio, right? I don't have a website showcasing my portfolio because there was no reason for me to, right? I've been employed for the last 13 years. There was no need for me to show my but that's something that I'm currently working on. I am working on my own website to showcase my portfolio. But yeah, all designers should have a portfolio, right?
Okay.
And I'm not talking a Fiverr portfolio. I'm talking a real portfolio.
A Fiverr portfolio. I think too, Mo, to answer a little bit more on that, kind of what we forget and what we do ourselves, but we forget to tell people, is you reach out to people like Yong. You join this Facebook group. You sit there and learn just from the comments, and that's a great way of researching how to go about getting that VA.
Oh, yeah. I learn all the time within the community.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, and this is nothing against the reselling community, but I feel like the merch community is much more welcoming than the reselling community for some reason.
I have a theory kind of why that might be, because I've seen both. I'm in groups for both.
Yeah.
Because it kind of reminds me of private label in a sense. You're hands-on. You make that design yourself. Even if you're outsourcing it, your hands are in there. You're uploading it, as opposed to, I mean, I'm a reseller too, but I didn't make this thing over here. I just bought it for a cheap price. So my creativity to that was just getting it at a good price. So
a little bit more ownership, Mo. You have more
ownership as opposed to my hands
invested.
Interesting. That's an interesting theory, Mo.
Yeah. One of the things I ponder. But okay. So I want to talk a little bit about reselling also, because I know
reselling.
You've been a reseller. You taught me a lot. We went out garage sailing, and we talked a lot about this. So how would you say it's changed? I want to say since 5 years, 10 years. How have you seen like other resellers and the reselling in general?
There's a lot of more content out there, right?
Yes.
And it's gotten easier, right? It's gotten easier.
Totally.
Right?
Easier.
It's gotten easier. Especially again with technology, it's gotten much easier. Dude, I used to do Russ, I don't know how long you've been doing eBay. I've been doing eBay on and off since '98. I remember having to put up listings on eBay no digital cameras, right? Like we had to write what the product looked like, right? We didn't
Right.
we didn't have PayPal, right? People used to send money orders or
Send a
personal
money order,
checks.
push it, yeah, and then wait
You
for
have
that to come, and then wait for the,
you
yeah.
have to wait for the check to clear before you ship out the product.
Now we
Oh
get
my
upset if
gosh.
the guy hadn't paid in 2 days.
Yeah.
We throw him into the unpaid case. Get it, handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's changed for the better over the years with technology, but no, it's gotten easier in the sense that there's a lot of content, right? I mean, with all the Facebook groups now and the YouTube channels, and content is good. I'm not against content. There's good content out there. So it's and you know what? It's just gonna get better and better, right? People talk about um, they're creating competition whenever people create content like that, but it's just I don't believe in that, man. You know what? It's just what if you're gonna complain about people making YouTube, videos and all that, it's just you're obviously doing something wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You could be doing something like sourcing better items,
Yeah,
researching
exactly.
better
Right?
items. You could be working with your mind on a positive influence type thing.
Exactly.
Much
Yeah.
more things to do than gripe on Facebook or
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
What I always think is that, okay, let's just say everybody puts out a YouTube video. How are you physically going to watch all those videos or
Oh, there's
listen to the
so many.
podcasts?
There's so many, but yeah, I mean, but there's great content out there. Resell Rabbit, he's a good friend of mine. See, here's the thing, right? You know how remember about a couple of years ago when John, he was well known in the community for traveling the country,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
going to different places, and I'm not trying to take away his thunder, but I was doing that long before he was doing it. No one ever heard about it because I don't document myself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have a YouTube channel. And like I said, John's a good friend of mine. I'm not just saying anything bad about him. But yeah, I was doing it long before those guys. And Mo, I think I even told you, man, like every winter I take off.
Yep. You
Yeah,
went this past winter too, right? I mean,
yeah. I didn't do as much sourcing as I wanted to, but I did take off. I found a few stuff.
Where do you
nice.
go, Yong?
Oh man, Russ, it's all over the place. Um, this past year I went to Vegas. I drove all as far as oh gosh, where was it? As far as Louisiana, and then came back.
Got it.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you could have met
See,
Russ
that-
then.
Yeah, we probably were in the same area at the same time because I was in Texas in the wintertime, West
Okay.
Texas.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And there was no sourcing out there. There was just oil fields. I mean, but yeah, that's what we did. We did that too. We sourced on the road, and we were in the RVs, so
Yeah.
we had
No,
to really watch. Yeah,
man, I would
But-
back when I was really into it. I would take my dog, and he was my partner in crime, and we just hit the road for
just head
weeks.
off.
Yeah.
Got that. It's
Man.
a great thing to.
Yeah.
do
No.
that. And more. It's great, like John putting that out because more and more people realize.
Yeah.
Heck, and
No,
look,
I
look at the
mean,
movements
John
that
was-
happen. Yeah.
John
Oh
was
yeah.
doing good things. He just did it on a whole different scale, right? I mean, he was
Yeah.
full time. I was part time.
Right.
And like I said, I just never documented myself, right? Like no one knew what I was doing. And then obviously, then when John comes out, I'm like, everyone's like, "Oh man, that's awesome!" He's traveling the country.
And now there's even a term coined for it. What do they call it? Travelage.
Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, they're calling it travelage.
Hey, isn't that a hotel? Isn't
I think
that
so.
Travel close enough. Close enough. Yeah.
Travelage. I think it's an A instead of an O or something like that.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah,
Nice.
so I mean, I love reselling. Man, I love FBA. You know what I especially love, guys, is Craigslist. I just love cash deals.
Who doesn't
man.
love cash?
Oh,
Right?
who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, right.
Right? I go into a Goodwill, find something for $20, and then flip it for 50. I love it.
How much? What's better? Goodwill, $20 to 50, or seeing something on the side of the road or back in the alley, or picking it up on, hey, pick this up for free. It's a curb alert.
Oh, definitely
What's
free,
your
right?
favorite? Yeah,
Definitely
curb
free.
alert is like, oh, the best thing in the world.
Yeah. The definite free is always good because you're not investing any money, just some time.
It's like printing money is what we
Yeah,
call it. Just need to print some money. Let's go dumpster diving. Let's go. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
No, I love Craigslist.
Nice. What's the craziest thing you've ever found out there, like on the road, far out there? Uh, or like maybe something you couldn't get, or maybe something you did get.
Oh gosh, I mean, just in general, like whether it's a
When
Goodwill
when
or
you were
garage
out there,
sale,
long way away
found.
from home.
Oh, what's the craziest thing I ever found? I don't know if I would consider this crazy, but I found a uh, uh, a flag. It was a military flag. When they folded up in a triangle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a soldier's flag when they passed.
Casket flag. Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it was obviously presented to someone's family because it was in a nice wooden frame. I found it in the thrift store, and I almost felt guilty buying it, man.
Uh,
But you know what? It was there. I picked it up. I put it in my antique booth, and sure enough, in a few weeks, it sold. I felt guilty. What are you gonna do, huh? I'm trying to make money.
yeah. That's a tough one.
It is and it isn't. His family made the choice to donate that, or
Sure.
somebody made the choice to donate that.
Yeah.
So somebody at that donation thrift store put that out there. You don't know what that thrift store, what their mission is. They may have fed 15 homeless people that day with that money, y'all.
Yeah.
And
True.
then you took it and put it at your thrift store, at your store, and somebody went, look, my personal example, my father's casket flag was donated to a national cemetery.
Oh wow.
I wouldn't mind having another one up on the wall as a memorial for him, in the house.
Sure.
That would be kind of neat. So you put some food in your refrigerator with the magnets on it that day. So was that a bad thing? No. Everybody along that path was blessed from that flag.
That's a good way to look at it, man. At the time, I just felt really guilty buying it. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, what do I do? Where was I at? I think I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was at a Goodwill, and I found that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Never look at items that way. Like, because I do pictures and I've got some negatives and stuff that I've sold.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, man, this was somebody's personal item, and they took this picture and everything like that. But no, it's been blessed people. It's been blessing people along the way.
So that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
And
As long
that
as you
end
do-
user would never want it that bad that they wouldn't have paid you for it.
That's true.
So they brought that home and was like, oh, look what I got. I remember Dad had one of these, or Mom had
Right.
one, Grandpa. So,
Right.
excuse me. But yeah, always look at it on that aspect too.
All right.
That's true.
And we've all been there. It took me a few years to. It took me some time to realize that things like that happen like that, instead of going, oh man,
And I've seen a lot of similar stuff like that. Usually at garage sales or estate sales, to be honest. So you kind of see more personal items, I'd say, at places like that.
Yeah.
So I think
I remember one time I went to an estate sale, and the husband had passed away. So the kids were there, obviously selling the stuff, but the mom was there, and she would not let anything go. And the kids were there just fighting with her. Mom, just get rid of it. And she's like, no, that used to be Dad's. She's like, I know, but he's no longer here. And man, it just felt weird being there because they were just, it's like they're having an estate sale, but at the same time, the mom doesn't want to sell anything. And, she's fighting with the daughters, and I was just like, what the heck?
it's
Yeah,
weird.
at that
I've been
point,
in
it's
that
best
I've
yeah.
been in that position where I was one of those kids, so I know what that feeling. But they were doing the right thing in terms of moving on. So yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
being out on the road, Young, what was the one thing that sticks in your mind that you saw out there and you were like, oh man, if I was home, I could put this in the vehicle and take it home, but there's no way I can. What was your one miss item that you always think about?
Oh gosh, Mo, do you know Kevin Nielsen?
I've I've talked to him on Facebook a couple times a few years back. Yeah, I
Okay.
do. I know who he is. Yeah.
Him and I took a road trip up to Reno 2-3 years ago, a sourcing trip between him and I. And man, we were finding, to answer your question, Russ, we were finding all kinds of stuff. I mean, we were finding old slot machines and just,
Oh yeah.
all kind,
Oh,
all kinds of huge items. And the guy just wanted to dump it on, but we just didn't have room.
didn't have the room. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
we didn't have the room. He just, I mean, I think legally you're not even supposed to sell a slot machine, but it was just it was such a nice piece. I just wanted it, and yeah, we didn't have any room, right? I mean, we weren't expecting to come across a garage sale like that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
With the guy who's just getting rid of everything.
One of
Take
you's
it
not
all.
coming back.
Yeah.
It makes
That's
you think
crazy.
too, and you start going. Yeah, I know what your mind did. You went, well, if we rent a truck and drive it back to the Bay Area, okay, so let's see, let's factor in the truck, let's factor in the gas. I know you thought of it.
Nah, I'll be honest with you, we didn't even think like that. We were just like, man, if
That's too much
only.
work.
It was
In my
too
mind,
much.
I would have thought that's too much work.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, Mo. That's what we were thinking. But I mean, but overall, that trip, I mean, it paid out. I mean, it was a good trip regardless because we found a bunch of other stuff.
Nice.
A bunch of smalls that we can make a lot of money on. So
I know you must have got a lot of video games if you're going with Kevin Nielsen.
video games. Gosh, you know what? Like I said, that was like 2-3 years ago, and I can't remember what we bought. I just remember coming back home with a car full of stuff.
Nice.
Now, what's your one thing that you always like when you pull up to a garage sale, thrift store, and you see it? Like I zero in on camera. If I see a camera, I'm beelining it. What's your kind of like one thing that you beeline to?
You know what, Russ? And I've said this in the past. Like I'm not an expert in anything. Like my thing is, I'm just really well experienced. But with that said, people always poke fun at me because I'm like known to sell women's shoes.
I knew he was going there.
Bro, you know where I was going, right?
I didn't lead into that question,
Right.
Yong, for that answer.
No,
Yong.
so yeah. I mean, I know my women's shoes, and it was um yeah, and I made a lot of money selling women's shoes on eBay, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's not really my specialty, but I know some brands that are worth a lot of money.
They are super expensive. I remember you were showing me in
Yeah.
that one San Jose thrift store that we went to. Some of the pieces. I think you nearly picked something up, but you didn't. Or you were debating.
Wow.
So basically, what he's saying, Russ, is I have a secret thrift store here in town, right? And they always seem to have like high end stuff. That's like my go-to place for women's shoes because they always have like high
They
end
always,
women's shoes.
it's just you walk in, you're gonna make $100.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pay $20 and I'm making 200 easy.
Nice.
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 That's kind of fun.
There's a pro tip in there on what you said about like me beelining and going, okay, and you go to women or you hit women's shoes. The pro tip is you may beeline to your stuff, but look while you're beelining. Check everything out.
Oh, yeah.
If you have the knowledge, you can make money at every garage sale, every thrift store.
Absolutely.
It's just, good.
Yeah.
Just those years of knowledge, you walk up and you go, this to get this, that to get this. And
You guys ever go to like a garage sale and it's like just one old guy, he has like maybe like 3 items out, and it's just like stuff that's not even worth buying, and you're like, why is he having a garage sale? And then you realize he just wants to talk to people. And that's the coolest thing, man, right? I mean, he's having a garage sale. He's got like maybe 3 items, nothing worth buying, but he's out there because he's lonely.
Yeah.
And those are the great ones to ask. To me, that I always ask them, well, do you have any, audio-visual equipment? Do you have any audio equipment? Would you be willing to part with it? And sometimes you end up in their house. Oh, I got this. Come on in and look. Yeah.
Just ask. Just have to ask. That's about it.
Always ask. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to take some time to talk about Merch Minds podcast as well. We haven't really touched on that yet. For anyone that doesn't know, if you could elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, so Glenn and I, Mr. Hustler Hacks, the man who needs no introduction, we do a podcast once a week, comes out on Mondays, and it's me and him. We talk everything print on demand, primarily merch, but we talk everything. We talk Etsy, Printful, any other print on demand that we think is worth talking about. What we do it all. And Mo was a guest when he had his account suspended. And
unfortunate story, but yeah, it was fun though, a lot of fun.
But you know what? You got your account back, and but yeah. So that's every Monday.
Every
Nice.
Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And does that
you
go?
You can find
does
that on
that,
iTunes and YouTube, right?
iTunes and YouTube. Okay, good.
iTunes, and then on Glenn's channel.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
And then your Facebook group again is
Merch Minds.
Merch Minds.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And we're going to put all the links in the bottom here, whether you're
Absolutely.
listening on the podcast or on watching on YouTube. Either one, we're going to put everything down below. And then one more time, if you could just go over a little bit over Typography, the ebook, and where people can find that, and just a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the ebook again, it's Understanding Typography for Merch by Amazon. It's an easy read, a lot of visuals. I think here's the thing: it's not going to make you like an expert typography, graphic designer overnight, right? I mean, you still have to practice at it, but it's a nice introductory book into typography. And I think a lot of people will benefit from it. And the link, I think you have, Mo. If you
Yep.
can just add that to the notes, that'd be
Everything's down there.
Cool.
And then and then if you guys have any questions, I'm sure. How could people reach out to you?
You know what?
if they have any
Just
questions?
just contact me on Facebook. I'm really good about responding. Here's the thing: I get so many messages. I made a commitment that every time someone messages me, that I would respond. Sometimes my messages might be short and quick. It's not, I'm not being an ass. I just get like 50 messages a day I got to respond to. But I will respond, though.
Nice. So I want to be respectful of Yong's time, but I'd like to have you come back and talk because this was a super easy conversation. So if you wouldn't mind coming back anytime, you've got an open.
Yeah, dude, and you're moving soon, right?
I am moving. I got about 6 weeks left, give or take.
Well, I'll tell you what. Before you move, man, you and I got to get together and grab a couple of beers,
Yes.
And just catch up.
That's right. Oh, there is one other thing I forgot because I know I signed up for this yesterday. You are having a meetup.
Oh yeah, that's right. We are having a Bay Area merch meetup. A lot of people have been requesting it, so it's finally going to happen. That is May 12th, Saturday. Is that a Saturday?
Yes,
Saturday.
it is. Yeah.
So if you guys are in the Bay Area, San Jose, Monterey, San Francisco, or even Georgia, Russ, you're more than welcome to come join us.
I'm in the Bay Area, just not yours, but I can be.
A different Bay.
But yeah, come through, sign up though. We do have a we're gonna cap it off at 30 people.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Yong. This is an awesome.
Thanks, Yong.
So for myself and Russ, we really appreciate you guys checking out the Reselling Niche podcast. If you have any questions for any of us, please drop us a line. You can also find us at the Reselling Niche podcast Facebook group. But until the next one, we will talk to you later. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.